I am curious because like, so you open for Jim Gaffigan a lot.
Yeah.
And Jim Gaffigan is, I mean, until the Trump stuff was a notoriously clean, just in a certain way. I have a friend who opens for Brian Regan sometimes. And I'm always curious, like, because you have a hard edge. Your stand-up is not, you're not a clean comic by any stretch of the imagination.
No. I mean, it's funny, you know, Jim and I have known each other for probably close to 20 years. So he is like a few years ahead of me, but we kind of essentially came up through the clubs around the same time. And even like did some road gigs together where we drove. So, you know, our friendship was solidified going way back. So yeah, I think it was just, you know, he was a fan of what I did, and fortunately asked me to open for him at a time that, you know, the gig was needed, and you know, it kind of got me out of not the minor leagues, but you know, there's only so many times that you can go back to some club in the Midwest, you know, for you know, the same money that you've been making for 8 years. So it was an opportunity to open for him, who was playing arenas at that point, and hang out with my friend, you know. So it was kind of the best of all worlds, where I was making more money than I was headlining. So it allowed me the flexibility to do both, where I could kind of fill my off weekends with my own stuff and keep doing my thing. But when I opened for him, I would keep it kind of, you know, I had enough stuff that I could keep it down the middle, maybe spring, like we were talking about earlier. Like, all right, maybe I can drop this thing in and just, like, you know, ruffle some feathers, get a few fans that dig what I do. You know, so I was still doing my act, but I was leaving out some of the more edgy stuff.
Yeah. I imagine at an arena, you could still like crush, but still be doing something where there's 10 people in that arena that are going to write a letter to Jim.
Sure. That has happened, you know, and luckily, you know, like I said, he knows who I am. He knows what I do. And he doesn't care, you know, and because I'm not the type that's going to be like, fuck, I'm going to blow this fucking place up.
Yeah.
I'm going to do all my political stuff. I'm going to do my stuff about abortion or whatever. And then let's see, you know, follow that, Jim. You know, it's not that I'm there to open.
I love Jim just be like, what the fuck, dude? I filled the stadium. Dude, come on.
Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, you know, I still feel like I'm figuring out as a comedian, because I'm not clean, but I can work clean. I like to some political stuff, but like I just did this gig in Connecticut, and it was the most I had ever done. It was 800 people outside, and it was tough circumstances. You know, I had to really, I couldn't lose them. And
my wife and I were there. we were there. We were in the back.
Oh, you were in the Trump shirt in the back that said. And I go there, and the stage, it's on a tractor, and a huge American flag behind me.
Oh God!
And I kept thinking in my head, like, you know, I wanted to push the envelope a little bit, or I wanted to do a couple things about Trump. And, you know, I have this one, it's so funny because obviously I'm usually with liberals. And so I have a lot of jokes that poke fun at liberals. And it's something about my grandma. She passed away 3 years ago, but she hated Donald Trump, and she would just be so happy to know she voted for Biden. And that's the treat that they get, because they go ape shit for that. Yeah. And then I have to be like, guys, I'm a New York Jew. I hate you. I hate everything about you and your culture, and you'd hate me if you knew me. And I get a couple things about Trump in there, but it's almost this thing. The show went well. And then, you know, these orange men in polos come up after, and they're like, we were nervous when you got into politics, but you took some shots at Biden too, so that's okay. And it's this mix where I'm like, well, I'm glad I didn't bomb. I'm glad I did well at the show. And then immediately I'm like, ugh, they liked me. I don't want them to like me. It's the fucking, you know, that's the way it goes, man. You know, like when you're younger, I remember for me, there was this aversion to like, I'm doing what the fuck I want to do, and so be it. You're like, you're not going to tell me, you're not going to give me parameters. I'm doing what I want to do. And then enough times where things go wrong, and you're like, well, maybe I didn't have to behave. Maybe I have 20 other minutes that I wrote. It's my act. It's not like they're telling me I can't do my stuff. They're just saying, could you not do
the prison rape joke at a corporate gig, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I had to learn that lesson. Like, I'm an artist, you know, you're not going to give me any parameters. So I had to learn that, and you know, that's part of being a professional too. It's not like you're a sellout. You're doing the job that you were hired to do. But you also pick those other rooms where I know I'm really free here. This is my room to experiment. This is where I really go for it. And you grow and you blossom and you find your full voice there. And then, you know, you kind of you bring that with you wherever you go, and you kind of gauge like, all right, you know, I'm making $2,000 on this gig. Do I really want to sacrifice it for the prison rape joke?
Yeah. Have you ever been booed off stage, a full boo?
As a rapper, I was. My brother and I were a rap duo, Brotherly Love, and we performed at the Apollo.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So
How
funny.
quick was that? Must have been the world record boo when you walked on stage, boo.
There were boos when we walked on, but we made it through my brother's first verse with kind of a smattering of boos, and then like once I came in, I think I made it like another 5 to 10 seconds, and then we got booed off.
Is this a joke group or like a serious, like you?
No, this was legit, man. This brotherly love
That's
was representing Belrose, Queens.
Oh wow, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Go to the Apollo. Wow.
Yeah. No, we were serious about it. We did it for like a better part of a decade. It was most of the 80s that we were writing, performing. We'd do like block parties, just shows around Queens and stuff. So it wasn't like we did it like a lark. It was like we had recorded a bunch of tracks.
Were you on Spotify?
Wow.
We do have a Facebook fan group. You can look up Brotherly Love, and there's several of our tracks are there.
I absolutely will.
Just don't boo as you listen to
Can we
it.
insert like 10 seconds of a song into this episode?
Yeah, go
If
for
we
it.
find it. Do you miss rapping? I always fantasize about rapping. I never will. But I could see if I became like crazy famous, I could see like at 50 just being like, Gianmarco dropped a rap album and everyone hates it. And I love rap though.
Oh yeah, no, I mean that's where it came from. It came from love. It came from, we had both gone to like a predominantly Black and Latino junior high school, and this was at the inception of rap. By the way, this was like when the genre came to be. It wasn't like whoever has a new album, like Jay-Z has a new album. This was like, this is a new music. So like we were listening to this shit, like early Run DMC and just all the early stuff that Rapper's Delight, all that stuff was like, what the fuck is this, man? Holy shit.
Yeah.
Guys were bringing in cassette tapes and blowing your mind on a weekly basis. And it was poetry, and my brother to this day is still a poet. He's a poet. He's a published poet. So yeah, for us, it was all creativity, man. It was just like falling in love with this culture and falling in love with this new music. So it all came from that. But, we were just a couple white kids from Queens, and either you have it or you don't.
I think everyone should have to go up at the Apollo one time in their life.
Well, I tell you, man, after that, nothing. What the fucking comedy is going to compare to that? I got booed off the stage as a rapper at the Apollo. Like, yeah, comedy. Bring whatever you've got.
Chappelle was booed off at 13. I think that was his story.
I remember that might have been around the same time. Now that I think of it, because I was around 19 or 20, so I'm about that. That there's that gap between Chappelle and I.
And you and your brother and Chappelle are at a diner. You're like, no, we're gonna make it. We're this rap group, and you as a comedian, we're gonna go all the way with this.
Just fine.
A reason to live, a purpose in life is all you need. So put down the knife, open your eyes, let in the sun. Celebrate life, unload the gun. Pain in our world is a reality. You look around and you try to find morality. Your spirits are down, I can't think anymore. Where am I going? What's the score?